Welcome to the PharmaVOICE 100 one-on-one video series with Taryn Groen.
Bill, thank you so much for joining us for our one-on-one conversation for our Celebration Marathon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
It's our pleasure. Bill, given all that's going on, how do you inspire your teams to be visionary thinkers?
Oh, there's a lot going on, Taryn. Fortunately, I think we hire, it starts there, right? Hire great thinkers who inspire you, and then you can in turn inspire them. In these times, it's important to do as much as we can to get people together and give them opportunities to be inspired in what they're doing, whether it's in work or in life, quite honestly. So it's those types of, opportunities to broaden their thinking, give them opportunities to be with coworkers, be with people in their communities, to get them thinking. I also think inspiration comes from a spirit of and a place of comfort, right, and not from fear. So I think in all that we do, we try and get people to feel good about failing at times, right? It's okay to fail.
Interesting concept, yep.
Fail fast, fail forward, and learn from it. I think that's how people really get to be in a comfort zone, to be able to have their thinking inspired, and then inspire others.
Excellent. So can you provide a couple of examples of how you create those opportunities for inspiration?
Sure. So first, if we think about just creating an environment where people are comfortable, I think that starts from the top, right? Mm-hmm. I'm one to always admit that I will. I make plenty of mistakes. I make them all day long, and I'm happy to explain to people, hey, here's what I thought made sense when we started out with it. Here's where I was wrong. Here's what I learned from it, and here's what we should all learn from it. So I think to start, it is to be able to show vulnerability and admit that not everybody is right all the time, and quite honestly, it's very much the other way around, and that's how we all learn. As it relates to other examples of just creating ideas or forums for ideas, we've learned a lot over the last couple of months within the pandemic of how to do it, and in certain ways, it's easier to connect people from vast geographic areas or from different walks of life. And it's funny when I say it's easier, it really was always this easy. It's just been easier, I think, for us to embrace it.
Excellent. You've been in the ad agency business for quite some time, so I really would like you to tell us, what are some of the big trends you are tracking right now in healthcare advertising? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so advertising has changed a lot. Our world has changed a lot. It's part of the reason why I think people who stay in advertising for a long time love the idea of everything is constantly changing.
Sure.
It's one of the things that I love about what we do. I love the idea of you never really know what your day is going to be. You think you know what it's going to be when you start, but it never finishes that way. If I think about some of the big trends that are happening right now in our industry, I think a lot of them are tracking along with big trends that are going on in our world, as it always is. But when I think about, so we talk about technology all the time in our industry, but if we think about things from how physicians are connecting with their patients, if we think about the idea of virtual waiting rooms, and being able to connect without actually having to be in person. I know the first appointment I had check-in with a physician during this was the end of March, and I was like, this will be interesting how it goes. And being in our industry, I was like, okay, so I can do the things that I know, the standard things that they're going to ask me all the time. I can step on a scale before I get on a call. I can check my blood pressure. I can do all of those things, but that interaction and how this interaction is happening, and yet still being able to be valuable, is a trend that's really interesting. The quantified self movement started a long time ago. It's becoming more and more practical in the ways that healthcare practitioners and their patients are communicating with each other. I think digital therapeutics play into that a lot as well. And we are probably just in the infancies of what we're going to see with digital therapeutics. But they are so much more relevant in today's time than they would have been. It's almost back to that. Listen, it's not like it's easier now. It was always this easy, but there is a practicality that's come into our world where we have these amazing tools that have always been there, and at times I think we may have struggled with trying to make them relevant, as opposed to now they are, now I don't see how we would do it any other way.
Awesome. Bill, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
For more PharmaVoice 100 content, visit www.pharmavoice100.com.